Yep, looks good. All right, welcome everyone. This is our travel experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me my friend Dawnie. Dawnie, how are you today?
Good, thanks. You?
Good, I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk with you about your travel experiences today.
Good. I'm glad, happy to share.
Yeah, now this will be a fun conversation. I know when we were setting this up, you mentioned to me that you felt like you hadn't traveled a lot and really wanted to travel more, but we were just talking before we hopped on here, and you've actually been a lot of places.
hmm
So I'm excited to kind of talk about some of those experiences and maybe some places you want to go to in the future.
Sounds good.
Ah, sweet. So right before we jumped on here, you were telling me about Africa.
Yes.
That's one continent I haven't got to go to yet, so I'm really curious to know about Africa.
Yes. So I went when I was 14 years old. It was a mission trip. We went for 10 days. It was a group of 10 people, one of which was my twin sister. And we were there as a youth. So we didn't really get to make any decisions. We were kind of just the tag alongs.
Hmm.
But it's definitely one of my most memorable experiences ever in good ways and bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good and bad when it comes to travel, and that's just kind of part of traveling. So, first, how long were you there?
So it was 10 days, but I think like four of those were probably travel.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you were in South Africa?
Malawi.
Malawi. Okay,
hmm
where's that on the continent?
So it's kind of like in the bottom middle by Zimbabwe. I
Okay.
think it's the third poorest country in the world.
Oh wow.
hmm
Okay. And what were you guys doing there?
So it was a mission trip. We were there to spend some time on a college campus, and then we went to the villages to spread the word.
Okay.
hmm
Very cool. Very cool. So, what were some of the good parts of that trip?
Scenery. One thing I love when I travel is the views, and Africa was
Definitely.
just insane. It was unreal. I mean, even their trees look different. So, their skies too, the sun, every night, I'm not even kidding you, the whole sky was red.
Oh
So,
wow.
that was probably my favorite part, the most memorable. Also, just like the culture, the history. I mean, watching women walk around with like baskets bigger than you on their heads.
It's amazing how they do
It's
that.
so crazy. Yeah.
No way I could do it. I feel like you gotta have a strong neck to
Yes.
do
Yeah. I'm
that.
like, I could barely hold it in my two hands, definitely
Yeah.
not my head.
Yeah, that's wild.
hmm
What was it like being out in the villages?
It was very sad, but it was also like it was a confusing time. So when you first get there, the kids basically just swarmed us. They just wanted to like hold your hand, be on your backs, hug you. They wanted to give you all of your attention. So when we first got there, it was really nice. We had a translator with us named Clifford, and this was a village that he went to often. So he had
Hmm.
already like met a lot of the kids there. They knew a lot of his songs that he would sing. So, in the beginning, it was like magical. It was unreal. It was happy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I'm
hmm
sure, I know like from my time in Guatemala, all the kids were just really excited to see someone that wasn't from there.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of feel famous for a minute.
hmm
Um, so what was there any other really good parts about it that you remember?
Um, no, it was kind of it was a hard trip to be on. Shortly after we had got to the village, things had kind of quickly changed. One of the parents was not fond of our translator.
Mm.
And so when the kids realized that that one dad didn't like our translator, all of the kids kind of turned on us and got violent.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so our group, we were probably there for a couple of hours before it did get violent. But we all had to like jump in our van and
Oh jeez.
yeah, it was pretty intense. Also, we had a scenario where the hostel that we were staying in, we were in a lockdown for 3 days. We didn't have a lot of food because it was also Nelson Mandela Day. There was a lot of
Oh
um,
no.
protests going on,
Yeah.
and so the grocery store we had been at just a few days before had been blown up.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it I think the bad on that trip outweighed the good a little
Hmm.
bit, but like there's still certain things that I remember that are like insane, unreal that I you probably can't even dream about.
Yeah. I feel like, well, one, going to a country like that, one of the poorest countries in the world, that maybe has a lot of tension and stuff like that, you might get caught in some of those things,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
What was that like? I guess, you said 14 when you
Hmm.
went. What was it like kind of being that age in the middle of that?
So this was actually the first time I had ever left Washington State.
Okay.
Um,
Wow, you went
yes,
straight from never leaving Washington State to
yeah.
Africa?
So
Oh my
I had
gosh.
literally never even been to the ocean at this point. I'd never been on an airplane.
Oh
I think the
wow.
farthest I'm sure I'd probably been to Idaho at some point.
Hmm.
Um,
That's a
but
crazy first trip out of
yeah,
Washington.
yes. Well, actually, that's a lie. I went to Yellowstone when I was 12.
Mm.
Okay, so that is a lie. Not out of Washington. But first big trip. Yeah, so what was it like? It was just crazy. My sister and I, we didn't necessarily, we wanted to go on this trip for the experience of Africa, but there was a lot of
Hmm.
pressure by the group that we were with to spread the word, which is just something that we weren't super comfortable with.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, being new travelers, being there for a purpose rather than for fun, it was really
Hmm.
difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure probably especially at that age too.
Yes, yeah. I think if we were to go now, it'd be completely different.
Yeah.
Just being mature, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Now, having traveled a lot more and obviously being older, um, would you go back there? Would you go to somewhere else in Africa?
mhm. I think I would go back there, but with different people.
Hmm.
While we were there, I felt safe because of our translators and we were connected with the college campus. But my sister and I just really had each other. There wasn't
Hmm.
really anybody else there that we felt like we could truly just like feel safe with, I guess.
Hmm.
So I would go back, but with different people for a different purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
not religion based for my purpose.
Yeah. Kind of
Hmm.
more for fun, like you were
Yeah, more
saying.
for fun or more for charity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel, I hate to ask this question, but I
Hmm.
think it's important when it comes to travel, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Do you think as a woman it was less safe than if you maybe
Yes,
were a man?
absolutely. When we were there, the most shocking thing that occurred was as soon as my sister and I got off the airplane, two men were grabbing our hands and holding our hands and just like leading us away from the plane. And it was just like shocking. And we just like turned around and looked at our leaders and was like, what's going on? Is this normal? And then our translator hurries up and runs up and he was like, it's okay, it's okay. Like, I guess men there are just, that's normal for them to like
Hmm.
hold women's hands, grab them by the waist, like put their arms around them. But when you're 14 and it's a 50-year-old man,
Yeah.
and also you really can't trust anyone, you
Hmm.
know. So in that way it didn't feel as safe because of course they wouldn't do that with like the 14-year-old boy that was
Hmm.
there. um but yeah, definitely, and especially seeing the way the men and the women communicated in the villages, it's definitely different for the women.
Yeah. Yeah. In my experiences traveling around the world, it's a lot harder to do it as a woman to
Mm-hmm.
travel. The culture between the man and the woman in different places is way different than it is
Mm-hmm.
here in the US
Yeah.
or like Europe.
Yes, we're very lucky over here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that was one of the shocking things that I saw in some of the places I've been. It was just how different that relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we got a lot of problems here too, but
Right, yes.
it could be a
Different
lot worse.
podcast.
Could be a
Yeah.
lot worse for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so I know that wasn't the most exciting thing to talk about, but what was your most favorite trip that you've been on?
Um, I have favorite ones for different
Yeah,
reasons.
I know,
I
me
would
too.
say for different stages in your life too.
Mm,
So like young, free, single, I would say Whistler, Canada for sure was probably number one, even if you're not a skier or a snowboarder. Like It's just amazing. The views, the things that they have for you to do there. There's a little town with all types of shopping, and there's restaurants. You can drink with alcohol in your hands on the streets. They have college weekend specifically for college students, which is when I went. So yeah, if you're young, single, and want to have fun, it's Whistler, Canada.
Did you go in the winter or the summer?
I went in the winter. The group of people that I went with were all snowboarders and skiers. So yeah.
You're not a skier, snowboarder?
No.
Okay.
I stayed in the village with one other girl, and we just drank all day.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and we went tubing because they have tubing.
Oh, nice.
And all of the hotels are great. So if you have a good hotel, there's going to be spas, and so yeah.
Was that before or after the Olympics?
That was in 2015.
Okay. I think 2010 was the Olympics there?
I think so.
Gosh, that was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Did they still have any Olympic stuff up, or
when we were there? No.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it was college weekend, there was a lot of like college stuff up. I didn't see any. Oh, well, they did have a skating rink with the Olympic symbol there, yeah. But I think that was the only Olympic related thing we saw.
Yeah. What did they have like kind of like antique shops and stuff like that there?
So they have a lot of boutiques similar to what you would see in Leavenworth, but probably way more expensive. I wouldn't say there was any antique shop. Well, there might have been one or two, but it was like expensive, like legitimate antiques. Like I don't think I bought anything the entire time I was there except for food and alcohol, because it was bougie. Yeah. There was like a Louis Vuitton, like a Dior, just yeah,
places I stay out of.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for all of the listeners that don't know, Leavenworth, Washington, which Dawnie mentioned, is, I guess you call it Bavarian type of town, German type of town. They really play into that theme, and they have a bunch of little boutique shops like that, kind of German or Bavarian themed shops. They have Oktoberfest and all that stuff. It's a really fun place if you're not from Washington. Even if you are from Washington, definitely a fun place to go visit.
Yeah, even just for the pretzels.
Yeah. Lots of good food there for sure. Okay, so Whistler was a good time for the young single stage.
Yeah.
What about other stages in your life?
Maybe you're not single anymore and you want to go on a trip with your girlfriends. I would say Charleston. I went to Charleston with my best friend and her mom and her sister, and it was, I think, more recently my favorite, just out of everywhere I've been. It is just full of history and culture and color. Everywhere you go, like, you're just in awe because of like whatever's in front of you is so beautiful. So I know that you did an interview with Phoebe, my best friend. She may have mentioned this, but they have a 100-year-old preservation society.
I don't think she mentioned that, actually.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It's the oldest preservation society in the United States, and one of their rules is no building in the town can be taller than the tallest church.
Oh, wow.
So there's no skyscrapers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking around and you're seeing tall buildings, it's cathedrals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Don't they, you mentioned colorful, don't they literally have a street that's called Rainbow Row or something like that? They do,
yeah, Rainbow Row. Yeah. So what that was back in the day when ships would come up to Rainbow Row. It was really boring, sad, dark, dirty. People who bought them decided to paint them bright colors, so when the men would come back, they would have something happy to come back to.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good story, Rainbow Row.
Yeah. It's like right on the water, isn't it?
I don't think it's right directly on the water.
Or like the first street or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You can see it from the water.
Yeah. What kind of things did you guys do when you were there? What was your favorite part there?
My favorite part was probably all of the history tours that we did. It was a total surprise that we did that. Phoebe and I went down there with the intention of going antiquing. We did not go into one antique store because we were just doing
Yeah.
tours the entire time.
Hmm.
We did things like Magnolia Market, or not Market, Magnolia Plantation, a lot of the old homes like the Aiken Rhett, a lot of the um, there's this one building in particular, I don't recall what it was, but it was basically where George Washington signed the Declaration of Independence, or not the Declaration, the Constitution.
Okay.
So yeah, just being in places like that. We went and did a dungeon tour. We did a haunted jail tour.
Yeah, she said she didn't like that very much.
Yes, so that was crazy. But yeah, I don't even know how many tours we did. We probably did at least 10 over the course of 4 days.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, there's so much history there. So many things have happened, on the East Coast in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I think especially in Charleston, I mean, that was where the Civil War started and that sort of
Right.
thing. So there's a lot of things that
Mm-hmm.
have happened there. So
Yeah.
fun to learn about all of
Yes, it was insane. A lot of it was really sad, but a lot of it was super eye-opening too.
Mhm.
So I definitely think it's necessary to go to somewhere down there and do some type of tour just to be woke.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, especially like in the southern U.S., that's a really fun spot to go to.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get a lot out of it, compared to maybe some places in the South. But a lot of history, a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
food, nice people. I remember everyone there being super nice
Mm-hmm.
when I was there.
Yeah.
Everyone was very friendly.
Yes, they definitely have the southern charm down there.
Yeah, the accents are fun too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, there's so many people from all over there too. So like there's sometimes you go places and you don't know what is a Charleston accent. Because I mean you're hearing everything. You don't know if it's like northern, southern, or you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
the different places you go, like a Kentucky accent is very different from like a Louisiana accent.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they know the difference down
Oh,
there.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
It's like, oh, all these Yankees from
Yeah.
up north. So okay, Charleston. Is there another stage in life where another trip has been fun?
Yes. I recently went to Scottsdale, Arizona with my husband.
Okay.
So this was kind of a compromise between the two of us to go to Scottsdale. He wanted to go to Austin and I wanted to go to Savannah. So we ended
Okay.
up in Arizona. It was a super convenient spot. So neither of us really like renting cars. We don't like a lot of responsibility when we go on vacation. We like to just go somewhere and then be able to just roam where we're at. So like we went to Hawaii a few years ago and we went to Waikiki, which was perfect because you can do so much within like a 2-mile span.
Yeah.
So Scottsdale is a lot like that. There's Scottsdale Ave, which is the main street. You can do so much. I mean, we were there for 4 days and we had like a full agenda the whole time we were there. Their mall, Fashion Square, is pretty intense.
Yeah, what is that?
They have every store you could think of.
Oh gosh.
It was insane. So I've seriously regretted packing a carry-on when we went because I just wanted to buy so much and I really had to restrain myself.
Yeah.
But Scottsdale is also a really good place if you're on a budget. We were super lucky and found our Airbnb for $600 for 5 days. And
That's
it was
pretty
a
good.
nice Airbnb. Yeah, it was really nice. Had a pool, had a hot tub, and it
Wow.
was on the main strip. So
Wow.
we literally the entire time were in our Airbnb or the pool, just walking down the strip, doing whatever we wanted the whole time.
Dang, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know, especially in Scottsdale. I mean, that's a very expensive part.
Yeah, it is pretty bougie over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's like northeast Phoenix. I think kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the nicer parts of Phoenix. So you guys, I guess I'm not really familiar with the Airbnb thing. What do you like about Airbnb?
Oh my gosh, everything. Anytime I talk travel with my friends and Airbnb and Uber get brought up, I don't know how I ever would have been able to travel without it.
Mhm.
So basically the way it works is you just go on the app, you'll get all these places people have listed that are available, and then you can rent them directly from the owners. You just show up. There's different ways to get in. It's usually like a code or a hidden key,
Yeah.
or like they'll like buzz you in. Um, but yeah, it's really safe, super convenient. There, you don't have any contact with like the owners unless you need to. I thankfully have not had any issues with cleanliness, which is good. I've heard some horror stories, but you really have to be selective about where you
Hmm.
go and make sure you read your reviews
Yeah.
before you
Yeah.
book. So,
It's probably true about any hotel
right,
or
yeah.
anything like that.
And I think what I found too, because I'm a big researcher before booking anything, is if you are paying attention, you can definitely get an Airbnb way cheaper than a hotel.
Yeah, I agree. In some cases, they're a
Mm-hmm.
lot cheaper
Yeah.
for sure.
Like in Scottsdale, I mean, you couldn't get a hotel for under 250 a night.
Hmm.
So, and we were able to get our Airbnb under 100 a night.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice. That's
mm-hmm.
nice. Um, so what things are there to do in Scottsdale? You mentioned the shopping
Yeah,
there. What else is
so
there?
they have a huge mall, which is kind of on the north end of Scottsdale Ave. As you go down, there's a lot of boutiques, a lot of local knickknack shops, a lot of food, like, restaurants for days. Like, you'd have to be there for a month before you could, like, make your way through
Oh
the
gosh.
Ave eating everything. They had a lot of breweries and wineries. Um, when we were there, we got lucky and there was a Convergence Canal show. We have no idea what that is, even now.
Yeah,
Even
I've never
after
heard of
attending it,
that.
we don't know what it is. But it was some sort of like celebration, I guess. But they were doing a light show on the canal.
Hmm.
Um, so that was cool. I mean, we try to plan our trips around events that are going on, so we kind of have something to go to.
Yeah.
This one we didn't end up doing that, but it kind of just worked out. We were gonna go to a concert while we were there at the I don't remember the stadium in Phoenix, but Evanescence was there.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yes, we were gonna go. It didn't work out, but I mean, you can really do. There's a lot. Oh, so there's the Desert Botanical Garden. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
So it's basically a ginormous walk-through garden of cactuses.
Interesting.
But it is huge. Like, it would take you a whole day to get through it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so we did that. We actually hiked to it from another tourist spot, which is the Hole in the Rock Park. It's
Okay.
basically just that iconic, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like a rock with a hole in it. It's like on all of the Arizona calendars. Like if
Yeah.
you Google
Yeah.
it, I'm sure you'll be like, oh, I've seen that rock. But we hiked to the garden from there, which was only about a mile and a half.
Mhm.
But in that heat, it was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. What time of year did you go?
So we went in November, so it was still mid 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sun, I swear, is hotter down there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And all my times in Phoenix, even when it's colder, it's still hotter than up
Mm-hmm.
here in Washington State.
Yeah.
Um, I know my buddy or does live down there right now, and in the summertime it was like 115, like basically every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Yeah,
no
you're
way,
like, no, thank you.
no way. I'll come
s-
visit you in the
Yeah, I'll
winter.
stay up here in the corner.
When we have 8 inches of snow outside, I'll come visit you.
Mm-hmm.
When it's 75 down there.
Yeah. We also got to go to this really cool art show where there was a robot that would draw you.
Oh, was it
Yeah.
good?
It was good from a distance. So it was like one of those weird things where if you look at it straight on, you can see how messed up it is and you think
Mhm.
it looks awful and terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. But as soon as you back up 5 feet, it's like, whoa.
Huh,
It like really would look like you. I have a picture I can show you later.
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to make it work, but I think I can upload pictures to this so people
Oh,
can
cool.
see it on the episode or something like that. I'd love to do that with people's pictures.
Yeah, that'd be really
Pretty
cool. I
but-
actually saved a whole bunch for you.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. Maybe I'll create a website for this. Actually, I probably will at some
Mhm.
point. And have a bunch of pictures that guests have had
Yeah.
or made.
That'd be super cool.
I think that'd be fun. I think my kind of goal with this is just have it kind of be a community, have it be something fun,
Mm-hmm.
kind of take us out of our normal lives and just kind of inspire people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a good idea. I'll credit that to you. um, okay, so any other like places that really stand out to you that you've
Um,
been to?
I don't know. Another really good inexpensive spot, which would just be like a good getaway for the weekend, is Penticton, Canada. Have you
Okay.
been there?
No, where's that at?
It's about 5 hours north of Spokane.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so in British Columbia?
Yes, I think so. It's been a while since I've looked it. It might be 5 hours north of Chelan, actually. I think that
Okay.
sounds more accurate. But it's right across the border. It's just like this really small town. Has a really big lake. They have a cruise ship that is parked on the beach, and there's like little shops in the cruise ship.
Oh wow.
And so you can get, again, a really inexpensive Airbnb right on the water, and they have tons of breweries and restaurants. The lake is open throughout the year, and you can have bonfires on the lake. It's just a really sweet town,
Yeah.
and it feels really safe too, really compact.
Yeah, how big is the town?
Um, I don't know. If I could guess, maybe like 20,000 people. That's
Okay.
probably terribly wrong.
Pretty
But
small place.
yeah, smaller than Yakima, I'd say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, some of those small towns are actually some of the most fun to go to, I think.
Right, most surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've loved driving through the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Because you run into these little towns where there's not a whole lot going on, but they got like one small, main street that is really cool. They got some attraction that
Yeah.
is a really fun thing to see.
Yeah. Honestly, a main street is all it takes for me to be interested to
Yeah.
go somewhere.
Wherever the boutique shops are, that's where you're
Yeah,
gonna be.
pretty much.
Okay.
I like to just like have one area where I can find my Airbnb and just roam,
Mhm.
which is why Charleston was so great because everything was just like in that city center. I mean,
Yeah.
we sometimes were walking 17 miles a day, but I mean, we loved it.
Yeah.
And when you're like on a groove, you're going somewhere, you don't notice you're walking that
Yeah.
much.
I feel like when you're traveling, you walk a lot more, but then
Yes.
you don't even notice how much
Right.
you're walking.
I know. It's like I get back after a trip and I'm like, oh my God, I walked 40 miles that whole
Yeah.
week. Like
Uh,
on a work day, I'm walking like 3,000.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny. I love walking around the towns or whatever when I'm traveling, just getting lost a little bit.
Yeah. Is that your favorite part about travel?
I don't know. That's a good question. I definitely am all about the history and the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I really try to experience that. But I think part of that is really getting kind of lost in the town, getting really immersed, like, trying the foods along the way or, running into a museum or something like that. And just kind of trying to act like a local, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
That's my favorite part. But it is fun to just kind of not have an agenda too, and just kind of roam through the streets and see what you find. But I know you mentioned that you and your husband go for or try to plan your trips around specific events. What kind of events do you like to kind of plan around?
So him and I have not traveled much before.
Okay.
Typically it's me and my girlfriends who go together. For him and I, our travel is usually separate. But for him, if we're going somewhere, we got to go somewhere where there's a racetrack, which is why we went to Phoenix. There's a lot of race museums. So if there's some kind of like sporting event, racing event, I mean, I can pretty much convince him to go where I want to go as long as I can like get that there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, like what's the one racing spot that he really wants to go to?
Vegas.
Vegas.
And
okay.
He's going in March with his best friend.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got out of that one.
What about you? What kind of events do you like?
I like festivals. Like we were supposed to go to New Orleans this last September. It just didn't work out with the budget, which is when we ended up in Scottsdale. But I want to go for Mardi Gras. I just love the
Yeah.
festivals where you can like hear the music, eat the food, because I mean the culture is strongest when they're celebrating something, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mardi Gras. There was another one in New Orleans though that they do in June. I'll have to look it up, but maybe
I
next
feel like I
year.
was reading about this. I'm going to New Orleans. Uh, about a month, a little over a month.
Oh, dang.
I guess by the time this airs, it'll be about a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's like just getting into the whole Mardi Gras thing. So I think one of the days they have some parades that we're gonna try to go to. But
nice.
it'd be fun to go like on the actual day.
Yeah. So I feel like Curtis and I get so lucky because every time we've gone somewhere together, there's been a surprise like festival going on. Even when we went to Hawaii in 2017, there was some kind of culture festival and it was like free food. Like it was just the coolest thing. We just like walked out of our hotel one night and there was just like people throwing flames, like so it just makes it so much more fun to be there to experience something.
Yeah. It's
so
I agree with what you said that you get kind of a sense of the culture that way. I actually, when I went to Florida in November of last year, we actually kind of ran into the same thing. There was this like sandcastle festival. So they had a bunch of like local vendors, local little small businesses, but then they had these like professionally made sandcastles out on the beach. They're incredible. The amount of detail that
see, I love stuff like
insane.
that too.
But yeah, it's just cool to be like,
art.
Wow, like I didn't expect to see this, but this is a really nice surprise, and it's really fun to experience. So you were also mentioning Chicago to me. Is that is that a fun trip of yours?
It is. My best friend's uncle lives in Chicago, right on Michigan Ave. He has a condo in a really tall building.
Okay.
He has amazing views. He actually has a really good view of the Navy Pier. So
that's where the Ferris wheel is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went together in November of, I don't remember when. I think it was maybe 18 or 19. But it was really cold, but there wasn't a lot of snow, so it was all right. There was a little bit of snow, but I mean, Chicago is another really good one where you can just like find your Airbnb where you want to be, and then everything you want is like right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, within a couple miles, you have like 5 museums, you have Cloud Gate, you have, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, when I was there, I was surprised at, even though Chicago's a huge city, if you're in the downtown area, like everything's actually pretty close by and pretty walkable, I would say.
Yeah.
Unless it's probably the middle of winter, but
right. Yeah. I mean, there's certain times where we're like, oh, a mile and a half, let's get an Uber.
Yeah.
Like, can't feel my toes.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I think when it comes to traveling, I think it's nice to plan around the weather too. Like what kind of weather you want. Because like Arizona, I'm going to guess most people don't want to go there when it's 115.
No.
It's not going to be very fun. I don't think a lot of the locals want to be there at that time either.
Right.
And same thing in Chicago, probably the middle of winter is probably not going to be the most fun for you unless you really want to experience that.
Yeah. Well, we specifically wanted to see the Christmas decorations, which is sad because we went like a week too early.
Oh, no. Well, I guess I just have to go back.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have a free stay, so
there you go. It's a
going
good
back
excuse.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I know, thinking about the weather and travels, the one place that I've been to where I was glad that it was not good weather was when I went to St. Petersburg, Russia.
Oh.
It was right after Christmas, and it just felt so Russian. Like
to have the gloomy weather.
I felt like it was just their, as part of their culture kind of thing. It was like negative 27. The sun barely like came up at all. And I just felt like I was in the Nutcracker or something.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like when I go to Seattle, I expect there to be rain, and if there's not, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, with Seattle, I feel like if it's not raining there, like you didn't get the full
Really,
Seattle
yes.
experience.
Yeah, if it's sunny there, go home, come another day.
Yeah. Although Seattle with the sun is really beautiful too.
It is, yeah.
But, yeah. Any tips or tricks or advice that you have for fellow travelers?
Yes. First, I would say if you are someone who is okay with using a credit card, find one that gives you miles, because
Agreed.
I honestly believe without Uber and Airbnb, I also would not have ever been able to travel without my Alaska card. I don't think I've ever paid full price for a trip because of my Alaska card.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Another one too is always check out Groupon, especially for hotels, because they have some shockingly good deals sometimes. I don't know how Groupon does it, but like I went to LA and we got our hotel room for $60 a night right on the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does Groupon work? I've never really used it.
It's kind of just depends on what you're purchasing with Groupon, but usually it's like they're selling you a certificate basically. And it's a promo code. So it's like, for example, you could buy a $50 gift certificate to a restaurant for $10. And then you just like take that promo code to the restaurant.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's different depending on, I guess, who the seller is. And it might be different now because it's been a while since I've been on, but that's pretty much how it works.
Wonder how that works as a business model.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they get a cut.
But it sounds like you can find some really good deals there.
Yes, for sure. Groupon. Always check Groupon. Also, City Pass. Are you familiar with City Pass?
No, what's that about?
So basically it is, I don't know who runs it, but it's a website, and they have city passes for like our big cities. So we had one in Chicago. So basically we go online, buy the City Pass. It gets you entrance into just like a bunch of different things. So like when we were in Chicago, it got us into like 4 different museums, an aquarium, like Navy Pier, different things like that, but like for half the price, and you get to skip lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think when we went to Chicago, because we bought our City Pass, we like saved $250. And it tells you too, like how much you save. You can pick your package, and then you get to skip lines, which when you go to a big city, there's always huge lines. So it's really good.
Huh. So you're basically just kind of buying a bundle of different
entrance fees.
Entrances. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good tip to save.
If you want to be
there.
a tourist, yes, it's necessary.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I've always really just kind of gone on the actual website of every place or hotel or whatever. I had a bad experience when, oh gosh, it was a long time ago now, at least 5 or 6 years ago, but booking flights and going through like third-party discount websites, and then they like the flight changes or something, and you don't get refunded because you weren't booking it directly from the place or whatever. So that has kind of deterred me from using other websites for booking things.
Yes, I steer away from that for the same reason. Yeah.
I think definitely with flights, just buy it from the company. At least in my experience. But no, with the Alaska card too, I'm hoping Alaska sponsors this because I love.
Do you use it?
I love Alaska.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a gold MVP member with them.
I think I got like 10,000 miles till I'm like the very first one.
Yeah, but I really having fun on them a lot. Obviously, they do a really good job, and they really try to make everything as good as possible for you. And I definitely love all the perks of being one of those MVP members. So.
Have you been in an Alaska lounge before?
Yeah, they're pretty nice. I haven't been to the new one in Seattle though.
Oh, I did hear that they were just putting one in there.
Yeah, in the new North Terminal.
Yeah, it is my goal to get to the point where I can be in the lounge.
Yeah. Well, I think you can go pay for a pass if you want, just for the day.
No, I want the perk.
No, but I think the lounges are fun if you get a chance. you feel fancy.
Yeah. I definitely, when it comes to travel, I cringe when I have to go with other airlines.
Yeah.
So
You just kind of get used to what you know,
you
right?
do, yeah. Like, I mean, every plane too, like their seat width, the seatbelt
Mm-hmm.
size, like the distance from your knee to the seat, like it's always different. But like with Alaska, I mean, it's the same every time. You get used to it, you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I love my Alaska flights.
Yeah. I love that um they're getting more and more like East Coast
International.
destinations,
Oh,
international,
yeah.
now part of the One World.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can go to a lot of international places. That's how I got to Italy last year. They were part of the One World
Mm-hmm.
thing, and so I just used miles, and it cost me $75 round trip
Mm-hmm.
to go there. So
It's insane.
yeah, it's pretty. There's a lot of good perks, but
Mm-hmm.
anyways, that's the infomercial for Alaska Airlines. But I think a lot of the other airlines are good too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love. Have you ever been on Emirates?
I have not.
Okay, if you ever get the chance to do that, Emirates
Mm-hmm.
is a nice airline.
Okay.
I felt very fancy being on that.
It's a fancy name.
Yeah, I know they're mostly. I think they're based out of Dubai or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But they travel a lot of international destinations.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good airlines out there, and also a lot of bad ones.
Yes.
What's I guess on the flying topic, what is the least favorite part about flying?
I don't hate the takeoff. I mean, I hate the landings, but I mean, I'm fine. Like, I guess it just depends on like who I'm traveling with.
Yeah.
Like if I'm traveling with my sister, I tend to be more anxious when I fly, just because she's kind of anxious and kind of rubs off on me. When I travel with my husband, I'm totally fine. When I travel by myself, I'm like pretty anxious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking.
it can
for
be.
sure.
I don't know. I mean, do you like flying?
I love flying.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was just about to say I don't know anybody who actually likes flying from start to finish.
I'm definitely
but...
one of the weird people.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I do like about it is I get some good Netflix time in.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it sucks being cramped up for a long time for sure, but um, I feel like there's a lot of good things about it too.
Yeah.
I love my favorite part. I almost always sit in the window unless for some reason I can't. But my favorite part is looking down at the earth from 36,000 feet or whatever it is, and just kind of seeing life and the earth from a whole different perspective.
See, as soon as I look out the window, I realize I'm in an airplane. So I try to like sit in the middle or on the aisle and just like avoid looking on my sides.
Just put the headphones in and watch Netflix.
I tried to time it out with whatever I've downloaded to match the time of my flight. So I know when I start my movie or my TV show, by the time it ends, we should be landing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I never tried to use Netflix on the plane, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's you just download whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I always just watch whatever the airline has.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that like wouldn't be on Netflix that are on there.
Right.
Are fun to watch. What about reading? Do you ever read on the planes?
No. I tried that a couple times and it kind of made me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple other people that have issues with that too.
Yeah. Same with the car though. I can text in a car, but I can't read.
Hopefully not when you're driving.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel when it comes to flying or road tripping or something like that too, when you're traveling, I think you just kind of have to know like, hey, this is how it's gonna be, and just find ways to make it as good as you can for yourself. Yeah. So if it's watching Netflix, do that. If it's drinking a lot, do that.
Yep.
I know I've done that a few times where they're like, hey, you're in the premium class or whatever, so all the drinks are free. So they just keep giving me drinks. I'm like, I don't want any more. Anyways, that's a whole Tangent. Any other great travel experiences you've had, or any other things that you want to share with people about traveling?
I would say always do your research for
Yeah.
sure. Like the first thing I do is figure out like what road I want to be near that has the coolest stuff, and I
Hmm.
book my trip around that.
I think that's so huge.
Yeah. Always do your research. And then where should I go next? What should I do?
Where do you want to go next?
I don't know. So, international. Have you been to Scotland?
I haven't. I really want to go to
Oh,
Scotland.
man.
Um,
Scotland is next on my list.
yeah, I would love to just spend like a month
Yeah.
touring around Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually my good friend who was on episode 1. We talked a lot about that. She lives there, and so
Oh, dang.
yeah, that'd be a really cool place to go
Mhm.
to.
Okay. So my next trip, I gotta keep it in the US, and I want to be able to walk everywhere I go.
Walk everywhere you go.
I mean, if I have to Uber it every now and then, I will.
That's a good one. Have you been to San Diego?
I have not.
San Diego's awesome city.
Okay.
I'm definitely biased, but having lived there, but I love San Diego. Probably not the most walkable city. If you're staying like kind of downtown, there are a lot of things close by, but there's a lot of sites that aren't. But I think trying to think, Austin would be a good one.
Yeah.
That's pretty walkable. What else is there?
Have you been to Nashville?
Yeah, Nashville. I'd love to go back. I went before I was 21. I was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
We had a set agenda. So I didn't get to see as much as I would have liked. But I've heard that's really cool. That's kind of the hot place now.
Yeah, for sure. I went to Tennessee when I was 17, but we were in Pigeon Forge. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically a big like arcade town.
Huh. Interesting.
So if you want a family fun spot, I recommend Pigeon Forge.
Interesting. They just have a bunch of games
yeah, it's like arcades, mini golf. I mean, restaurants. It's kind of like Leavenworth the way it feels, actually, the way it's like set up, but not Bavarian.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. I'll have to check that out. How far is that from Nashville?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. Washington D.C. There's a lot of things that are right next to each other.
Oh,
that
yeah.
You can see.
I have been to D.C.
Okay. What'd you like about that?
We went on Thanksgiving Day in 2008, and everything was closed.
Okay.
But I think it was still just as good. I'm a sightseer. I'm a viewer. I love to just like look at things. One thing I wish about myself is that I was a photographer, because I feel like I see such amazing things and I can't ever really capture the photo the way I want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, just being in DC and seeing all the buildings and like the history and stuff, it was crazy. Especially when you're basically one of like 100 people there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we really saw anybody unless they were on the other side of the street, because we were there on the holiday.
Yeah. Well, especially when everyone there works in government. No one's working that day.
Oh, yeah. Really. I mean, and we didn't really have any interest at the time to go into the museums, and so it worked out really well. Yeah. We were more sightseeing that day.
Yeah. Ooh, Boston. You can walk around Boston fairly easily.
Okay.
And if you can't walk around, there's a subway that will take you wherever you need to go.
Okay.
But that's a fun city to walk around too.
Noted.
Yeah.
Phoebe went to Boston.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay.
That's a super cool city, especially if you're a history fan. Lots of cool history there.
Yeah. I wish I was like more in tune with history. Like, I wish I paid attention in high school.
Yeah. I think when it comes to travel, I mean, I feel like people are into a lot of different things. I'm definitely more the history and the culture type of person, so I look out for that stuff, but some people like the shopping or...
I didn't know I was into history until we went to Charleston.
Yeah.
And then it was just like everything was shocking.
It's cool to learn some of those things.
It really, well, it is. It's like weird though when you have to put yourself, like, I mean, when you hear about it or see a movie about it is different than like being there, like being in the dungeon and hearing like the purpose of the dungeon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually one thing Phoebe and I were talking about was, on the West Coast, we don't have as much history, obviously. We're a much newer part. And so I feel like we're not as connected out here.
We're not.
To history. Whereas on the East Coast, you're like, you living in Charleston, you see that stuff every day. Or Boston, you're around all of that history that basically built the country.
Yeah.
Every day. And
it's probably part of your like daily conversation too. I mean, especially in Charleston when you're dealing with like thousands of tourists.
Yeah. I'm sure you just feel it on a deeper level. Which is just interesting to me.
Yeah.
Same thing, you go to Europe and everything's like 2,000 years old.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You're just walking around in this ancient city. Like, I feel like they're a lot more connected to their history there.
Yeah. Well, hence why we're doing the Yakima Rotaract history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Shout out to Yakima Rotaract.
Yep. I specifically planned a meeting where we can talk to a local historian because after I came back from Charleston, I was like, why the heck is the Yakima here? Like,
is that really why you...
That's really why I planned that.
No, I'm super excited for that event. What day is that?
February 1st.
February 1st. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So maybe we'll feel more connected.
Yeah. I think... Oh, shoot. This is going to air after February 1st, but...
Cut this out.
Yeah. But maybe we can have you guys on again to talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe like Rotaract or Rotary where they're traveling to other places for specific reasons, specific service reasons.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fun topic. Something I've gotten to do in my life too is travel for service, and I feel like it's a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, it is. One thing my sister and I did in Kentucky was this thing called Kentucky Changers. And basically you go to this different county, you're on a team, and you just help with like house projects. Wow. So like we were in Lexington, we went to Bullitt County, which is on the other side of the state. And I was on a crew where we were rebuilding a roof. And then my sister was on a crew where they were like refurnishing a garage or renovating it or whatever. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I feel like it's really cool to just be able to help out.
It is.
Experience, something new. Meet some cool people.
Yeah, Washington needs something like that.
Yeah. I'm not going to share it on this, but I have an idea about that, which I could talk with you about it later when we're not airing this. But any other things you want to mention, anyone?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, I feel like we covered a lot of really cool places around the world in the country. I definitely have to have you on here again to talk about some of the places that you've been to after this airs and after you travel some more.
Yeah. Have
you back on and talk about Rotaract and traveling for specific service reasons or the Kentucky Changers. But yeah, no, it's super great conversation. It's always fun to hear, other people's experiences, and hopefully it's inspired some people to go travel as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like I had some good recommendations in there.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Great conversation. Anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I love to talk
thanks for
travel,
being here.
So
yeah, well, me too. Hence the podcast. Awesome. Well, Dawnie, thanks for taking the time to do this, and I look forward to talking with you about your travels again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always listen to other episodes on Spotify or Anchor. The links are in the description below. If you want to see travel pictures from today's guest and other guests, as well as my own travel photos, you can see them on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. If you want to share your own travel pictures on the page and or share your travel experiences on the podcast, you can message me on that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to hear about your travel experiences and see all the beautiful pictures that you've taken. Thanks again for listening, everyone, and I look forward to sharing the world with you again soon.